What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today I'm going to take a look at the Social Security pay dates for April. We're also just going to look at the calendar as a whole. We're going to see when Congress is actually working, and then we'll talk a little bit about Social Security reform. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, and just a reminder, every Thursday we're doing live streams at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the calendar. Now, you guys know I like to do this. We're going to start in March, and then we'll work our way down. So we'll just do the last couple of days in March. But on the 27th here, we will have checks going out to the last group of people who receive Social Security benefits. And I believe it's from the 21st through the 31st. So if your birthday falls between those dates, then you'll receive your Social Security check. All right, so moving on in. Another thing, right before we do that, this whole week, Congress is on recess. And so they are going to be on recess the end of March. And then guess what? April, they're on recess as well. So they're not returning until, well, we'll have the Senate return on the 8th, and then both the House and the Senate will reconvene on the 9th, okay? And you guys know I like to look at this too, because you have a lot of lawmakers out there that really criticize the average American, and one of the big things that's been talked about right now is a 32-hour work week, and you have these lawmakers that are saying, you know, it's how can we only allow 32-hour work week and people just basically want something for free. And these are the criticisms that are coming from legislators. But when we look at the calendar, and let me go back to March, and you start counting dates, and you start realizing, okay, so March here, and this was the way the calendar was designed. You know, this is the way the calendar was set up. Now they do make adjustments to the calendar. So we're looking at it now. It could have changed just due to certain situations. We had the government shutdowns, and so they could have worked a little bit more because they were trying to get things done before the shutdown. But if we're just looking at dates in March, how many days did they work? They worked on the 1st, so that was 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll say 9, 10, 11, 12. So they all worked 12 days out of the month. Okay, so less than half the month they worked. Okay, and of course you have weekends off. Most, I won't say most people, but some people have weekends off. So we'll let that slide. Now, when it comes to the Senate, they did work 13 days. Okay, so they worked that additional day on the 14th. But we're looking at this schedule here, and I know when we say recess, that doesn't mean that they're off that day, but they are back in their home districts, and they can't do the work for the American people as far as vote on legislation. And so that's why it's heavily criticized, the fact that they go on recess. It seems like every other week they're going on recess. And so that was for March. Now, when we move forward and look at April, we'll count the days here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 days out of April, both the House and the Senate will be in session. And so 10 days, so that would mean 12 days, you'll have the Senate in session. So the Senate will work 12 days. The House, they're going to work 10 days out of the whole month, okay? So just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on here, okay? Now, when they're in their home districts, they're supposed to be working, they're supposed to be finding out what their constituents want in their districts and in their states. When senators, it's states. When it comes to the representatives, it would be their districts. But I know they're not doing all that, okay? They're not working an 8 to 5. They're not working 8 to 10-hour days. They're not doing that, okay? And when they're in their home district. And like I said, they're not able to get legislation done in D.C. when they're in their home districts. They can't vote on things. They can't pass legislation. Their key role, okay, that's the key role. They can't do that, okay? So, and another thing too, and I watch a lot of the hearings that we, a lot of the hearings that are in D.C., I will watch them, mainly the ones that are focused on retirement and focused on Social Security. And I just found it funny that you have lawmakers in the hearing with Martin O'Malley. This just happened, and they were really criticizing. Well, they weren't really criticizing Martin O'Malley, but they were criticizing the way that Social Security has some people working from home, and how often do they work from home. And it's just, I mean, it was comical to me to listen to some of these lawmakers talk like this, because they're working from home a lot. They're working from home a lot. And so it's just funny to me to hear them really criticize this and make a big deal about it when they're doing the exact same thing, even worse, because half the month they're working from home. They're in their home districts, right? So, okay, let's go ahead and look at the calendar. So, as we stated, when it comes to checks going out, SSI, the checks will go out on the 1st. And then we have people who are receiving Social Security benefits, and they started receiving it prior to May of 1997. So those checks will go out on the 3rd. Okay, so it's pretty much kind of a normal setup here. You don't have any weekends that will play a role in when the checks go out. And then on the 10th, you'll have people's birthdays who fall between the 1st and the 10th. And then when we go to the 17th, you'll have people whose birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th. And then on the 24th, you'll have people whose birthdays fall between the 21st and the 31st. Okay, so that is the schedule. And another thing, we don't really have any deadlines. Okay, so we've averted the government shutdown here, and here actually they extended it here, but we were able to avert the government shutdown. The final one was the 22nd here. Or if you really want to look at it, we had a brief shutdown, but they were in the Senate was in the process of passing it. So we didn't see the actual shutdown. We didn't feel it because it was on the weekend. So when it comes to April, nothing really set in stone. Okay. One thing that I will be covering is, and I'm going to try to do my best because it's not going to be televised, but the former President Trump, his first criminal case. So I do want to follow that. I am going to be doing, I might even do a live stream talking about that. And I want to cover that because it does have to do with politicians. And so we'll be looking at that, and whatever comes from that, we'll do some follow-up videos as well as the live streams. I think I want to do live streams. It's a little bit easier, maybe 2 hours a day. We just do a live stream and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on in that court case. But other than that, as far as any legislation moving forward, we don't really see anything. And that brings me to, what are they going to do about Social Security? What are they going to do about Social Security reform? At this point, they haven't talked about really moving forward with any legislation. We do have lawmakers that are out there talking about different proposals, but we don't have any real movement. And I think the movement is going to have to come from the president. I've said this previously. I think the president really needs to make this an issue. And the way that the president can make this an issue is by saying, look, I support this bill or I support that bill when it comes to Social Security reform. But I think it's really a bad sign when you have Republicans out there saying, look, the president wants to cut Social Security. He wants to cut Social Security. And the reason why he wants to cut Social Security is because he doesn't want to do anything about Social Security reform. So you're having that come from Republicans. And a lot of these Republicans, and I just showed you last week, Senator Thune criticizing President Biden, but Senator Thune hasn't talked about a solution. And so this is really interesting how politicians will try to turn the tide, right? So they're not even talking about anything. Senator Thune hasn't put forward any type of a plan for Social Security, but he's criticizing President Biden because President Biden hasn't put a plan forward, even though President Biden has shown some support for different proposals. And so it's going to be interesting to see if President Biden does say something concrete about, look, I want to move forward, or I want the Social Security 2100 Act to move forward. And so maybe that will give the Social Security 2100 Act a little more interest, and maybe politicians will try to at least move it forward. And I've been saying this all along. When it comes down to it, they can pass this in the Senate. And maybe I shouldn't say they can pass it in the Senate, because who knows what would happen in the Senate. They do need 60 votes, so they will need some Republicans to come on board, but they can at least bring it to the floor. bring it to the floor for a vote. And even if it's a procedural vote, they can do the procedural vote to see if they can vote on the Social Security 2100 Act or a plan that's similar to it. I think Senator Whitehouse has a plan that's very similar to the Social Security 2100 Act, but at least pass it. If they can pass something or attempt to pass it, and if it doesn't pass, then you're going to have lawmakers that are out there that voted against it. And that's not, the American people aren't going to like that, especially in the election year. This is the time to actually try to move something through Congress, because this is the best opportunity that you're going to have. Because if not, 2025, guess what? Not much will get done in 2025. And mainly because it's not an election year. And so getting it done now would be great, because if you don't get it done now, then we're going to have to wait until 2026. And we might not see anything in 2026 because we'll have re-elections, but mainly for the House of Representatives. It won't be a presidential election. So we would have to wait until 2028. And that would be a long time to wait without any reform to Social Security. And it only hurts the program even more if we don't have any reform. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.